Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is episode 3 of Psamatips, which is a series of videos where I share with you my experience in singing technique. If you have any comments or questions about singing technique that you would like me to answer in one of the next videos, please write a comment, send me a tweet, write on Facebook, email, wherever you prefer. Today we're talking about resonating spaces. This, as the name suggests, is the place in your mouth where the sound finds the space to resonate and add color to your voice. So it's very important, and it's something that if you just tweak it a little bit already shows huge differences in how your voice comes out. There's different resonating spaces, and it depends on what style you're singing, what register you're using, and so on. So I will tell you of what I use, but feel free to ask me about other singers, other professionals, and I can make a video about them and just tell you what they use. And as usual, always remember, when you're actually doing the singing, always try to have a vocal coach that can hear you in the moment, live in the room, and that can really give you the right advice for your own specific voice. So resonating spaces. I mainly sing in chest voice and head voice. So in head voice, usually the main resonating space for especially classical head voice and classical singing, and this is very important, it's the fundamentals of your voice. So even if you're not singing classical, it's useful. The voice resonates in the soft palate, or we could say the soft palate has to be lifted at all times, and that creates that particular resonating space that gives you the classical voice, the classical sounding voice. What is the soft palate? So if you run your tongue to the top of your mouth cavity, you can feel that you have the hard palate right here, and right behind it in the back of your mouth cavity is the soft palate. You can find it usually by yawning or pretending to yawn. If you do this motion, you can already feel that the air that you inhale is hitting your soft palate, and that your soft palate is lifted, and you have such a huge space here, and that's what you need to really have a full round sound that is needed in classical singing, because you need all the frequencies, all the space, all the resonance that can project your sound on stage, because you don't have a microphone. You have to be heard from the first row to the last one, and this is what helps you find all the space you need to have that big full sound that everybody will hear in the theater. There's usually a number of images that we use to help ourselves visualize, because mindset and this kind of psychological tricks are really important to find and control the diaphragm, the soft palate, all of these things that we don't normally use and that we find hard to control otherwise. So there's a number of examples, some gross, some not. As I said, the yawning motion, that really helps you a lot. Then there is the chapel image. You have to think that you have a chapel inside of your mouth, so you can visualize that big round space. Or another trick is to think that you have an egg inside your mouth, and that you have to keep the space as wide enough so that you do not crush it. So that's a bit gross. If you sing a note in head voice with your soft palate, you can immediately hear where the resonance is. If you sing a note in head voice with your soft palate lifted, you can clearly hear how big the sound is. Let's take an example. If I sing with my soft palate not lifted, this is difficult because I'm used to lifting it, but you can hear that the sound is not as big. Of course, I lowered the volume also to be careful, but you can hear that it's more flat. Basically, it's just flat, because the frequencies are not as many as you would have with the lifted soft palate. When you lift your soft palate, you can always control the volume. It doesn't mean that you just have to go all out at all times, because you will be tired. The second thing is that you don't have to think that you sing in your soft palate area. that's just a passage of air. The air has to come out and become sound, and you have to sing it out of your mouth. So this is a problem in classical singing for many professionals even, that they tend to have this incubated sound that is more like the difference is not that big for you listening to it outside, but if you hear it as the one producing the sound, you have a lot more strain on yourself, even though the placement is correct. So really pay attention when you sing and you use your soft palate to not take the bad habit of keeping the sound behind. That's just, as I said, it's a passage. Let's switch to chest voice. For chest voice, you can also lift your soft palate and you will have that kind of tenor sounding voice. And it's chest voice, but you can hear it's round, and once again it's very full voice color, the volume, etc. But usually when we sing in chest voice in modern singing, unless we want this specific sound, we sing more and immediately I still have a bit of soft palate lifted because that's my style and that's how I like it, but you can hear that the sound, it's not really resonating much here, but it's resonating more here, and I will talk about this. But first of all, when you use chest voice, you should be aware also of the mask placement. So the mask usually in singing jargon is this whole thing, and based on where in the mask your sound resonates or your sound is placed, the sound quality will be different and the sound color will be different. If you're singing in chest voice, usually the resonance you have is more here in your mouth basically, and it's always there no matter how high or low you're singing. Chest voice also has a mental trick that you can use to find the right position in your mouth and in your mask, and this is called the belter's bite, and I found out about it in musical theater technique. But you can just explore. There's a lot of videos on YouTube by professionals that also discuss more in detail how to use it, but to just give you a simple idea of what it is, it's already once again all in the name. Belter's bite, it means it's mainly for belting, so chest voice, and bite means that you are actually mimicking the motion that you would do when you would bite on the food you're eating. So I've seen it visualized like this, and then like this, like you're opening your mouth and you're widening it up and you're just chewing on a sandwich or whatever. The belter's bite also has some things that you have to be careful about when you use it. The main thing is that since you're doing this motion, the tendency is to make your sound more horizontal, and we do not want that because it has to be this round vertical beam that just goes out in a very specific mark, and you tend to also uncover your teeth. And now you have to be careful to not uncover your teeth too much, because then you will have not just the flattening effect of widening your mouth. That puts more strain in your muscles here, and you don't really have to do that. If you use your muscles in this area, it's usually this kind of muscles. It's not in the lips. The lips should not be strained when you are singing at all. Now, when you use your belter's bite, there's another thing that's very important for modern singing especially, and it's called twang, it's called ping, it's called many different names, but the common denominator about this twang, ping, etc., it's that it usually stands in this place in your nasal area, and that's where your sound is directed towards. Let me make a very exaggerated example of chest voice sound without twang or with very little twang, and one with a lot of twang. If we do not use twang, it sounds like I did before. Ah. If I use a lot of twang and I'm exaggerating now, it will use like ah. You can hear it's more nasal. Now, usually you will find this if you Google for twang exercises, the main exercise you use to find and utilize your twang area is to mimic a child or a cat meowing. So a lot of vocalizers that you can do are like meow, 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 or whatever activates with and sounds this area of resonance. Once again, these are very exaggerated exercises, so always be careful that they do not become the standard for your voice, because having a very nasal sound is also something that you do not want, because as you hear, it doesn't sound natural anymore. It will cover up your natural voice color, which is something that you absolutely do not want. So always be careful with that as well. But what twang or ping does is that it gives you that extra edge for projecting your sound in the right way, and it's especially useful if you're doing belting or if you're using a mixed voice, because it doesn't make your voice sound breathy, it doesn't make your voice sound flat. In general, I would say that if you already have a good notion of how to use your soft palate and your bite motion, it already helps you a lot, especially when you're approaching the top and low limits of your range. It really helps you find maybe that extra semitone every now and then as you practice. So it's a good thing to keep in mind if you're trying to expand your range, and it's a good thing to keep in mind if you're also working on having a more consistent sound that really brings your voice color out consistently no matter which note you are singing. And I think that's really important, to find your own style and not fall into the imitation spiral of just trying to mimic someone else's voice. So I think this may be really useful tips for you. But as usual, if you have any questions about them, just write in the comments and I will try to answer in the following videos in the comments anyway. Stay tuned in the following weeks for more videos about singing technique, and as usual, if you have anything in particular that you're interested about, just send me a message and I'm sure it will make for a great topic for one of the videos in the series. So let's keep in touch and have a good conversation about all the things that I'm discussing in this series. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, comment, and tell your friends, your family, your enemies, your dog, your cat, people on the street. Before you go, there's one last thing I want to tell you about, and it's that I have a coffee page. And what you can do on this page is you can basically buy me a coffee for a few bucks. It's a one-time thing and it's a very small sum. So if you want to support what I do on this channel and my covers, this series, etc., it would really help me out, because I can save up money for new equipment, new instruments and stuff like that. You can find all the details in the video description on the main page of my channel. All the links are there. So thank you.